Maitland Boulevard closed. Eastbound on the 408. There's right lane roadwork approaching Pine Hills Road. Eastbound on Maitland Boulevard at I-4. 2 lanes are closed with construction. We have roadwork northbound on Florida Turnpike north of State Road 60 in the right lane. There's crash blocking traffic on State Road 472 at the Dr. King Beltway. See traffic problems? Call the SafeTouchSecurity.com traffic tip line at 866-676-8477. From the Traffic Center, I'm Daisy Ash.
Whether it's offering curbside or next-day delivery for online orders on over 160,000 parts or getting involved in their local communities, when it comes to serving you, Napa's Motor never quits. That's Napa Know-How.
Welcome to Parent-Teacher Night. Oh, yes, Miss Garner.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you earn unlimited double miles everywhere.
Really? My airline credit card only gets extra miles on some types of purchases.
And you can use Capital One Venture Miles on any travel purchase. Plus, earn 100,000 bonus miles when you spend $20,000 in your first year.
Venture gets an A+.
Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Limited time offer. Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company presents and Doug.
And we're back with Limu, Emu, and Doug for the final question. Category is things you climb.
All right, Limu, what do you think? You sure? We're going with Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Oh, so close. We were looking for stairs.
Huh. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
International Diamond Center's most aggressive offer ever is back. 5 years, 0 interest financing.
This is incredible. Get the unbeatable low price IDC is known for and spread your payments out over 5 whole years without paying a dime in interest.
Use this to upgrade to that pre-owned Rolex watch you've always wanted, like a stainless steel Submariner as low as $125 a month, or a gold Presidential starting at just $265 a month.
Don't miss this amazing opportunity. Get the amazing IDC value price and 60 months, 0% financing without paying a dime in interest.
Getting engaged or celebrating an anniversary? Even all GIA and Forevermark certified diamonds are included in this incredible offer. How about a $15,000 designer ring with a Forevermark center diamond for only $250 a month?
Hurry, this is a limited time offer and only at International Diamond Center.
5 years, 0 interest financing. Now at International Diamond Center. On approved credit, see store for details or shopidc.com.
Bodega, 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 Alpha and Omega. Siamese sailors sell celery sandwiches. Sawing-a-bada, serving platter.
Hey, Jamie?
Yes?
Did you want to try reading that line on the script there?
Oh, yeah, let's see. You could save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive, that one?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm just not warmed up yet. Shouldn't be long. Detector test.
Bundle your home and auto with Progressive today.
The marmot mangled my mushu pork pancake.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish is...
It's pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just text radio to 64,000 to start learning a new language today. RADIO to 64,000.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
If you're hooked up with Alexa, yeah, you're hooked up with us. Just say, play 96.9 The Game, 96.9 Radio. The Game, WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando, the home of the UCF Knights.
Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
listening to Open Mic on this Wednesday morning. Had to do the weekly math because we had Monday off. Almost said Tuesday. But we're halfway through a work week. This is Open Mic on 96.9 The Game. You can listen to us right there on your FM dial or on the AM dial as well, 740. You can listen to us online if you're already locked into your cubicle. You want to listen to us from your desk, your desktop, your laptop, computer, you can. 969thegame.com is where you can find us. If you are technologically even more savvy than that, you can get your little OK Google, Alexa, all that good stuff. Just say, hey, we're listening to 96.9 The Game, and it will put you there. If you want to watch and listen at the same time, you want to put a face with the voices that you hear each and every morning, you can do that by streaming the live stream, which is at YouTube. You can look for Open Mic live stream there. If you have Facebook or Twitter, we have some links up there for you as well. I am Adam Reardon, I guess sitting in the captain's chair, if you will, as Mike Bianchi is in New York. We'll have Mike Bianchi on a little bit later on in the program. Across the glass from me, the smooth operator.
Ooh, we in the building today. Yeah, you're right. I did the same thing. I'm like, wait, today's not Tuesday.
Thank God.
It's definitely Wednesday. And it feels marvelous.
I love it. I say it every time, man. The 3-day weekend is great. It's the 4-day work week on the back end that I really love.
I didn't really put 2 and 2 together until you mentioned it yesterday, and I'm like, yes, 1,000%.
It feels good. I mean, because then you wake up today and you think, oh, I got the no. We're on the backside. After the day is over, we are getting ready for the next weekend, which I can't wait because it's my birthday weekend. You're Gemini, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Gemini's in the building.
Gemini season.
That's it. It's the season for it. I mean, just for a month, and then it's what's next? Cancer, right? Oh wait, no.
Capricorn. I forget.
What?
I'm not one of those.
I mean, neither. Would you ever date somebody who was or be involved in?
No, I knew a girlfriend I had a long time ago. She was really into it, man. Really into. She was an Aries. I was a Gemini. Yeah, we're compatible in the sun and the moon and all this. So I was like, oh, that's cool.
That's all well and good until she reads the paper that one day. You know, somebody you love will betray you. It's you, isn't it?
She's like, what did you do?
It says it right here in the paper. That's Kelly Velez, the smooth operator, here with us here on Open Mic. Man, excited for today's show. We're going to talk a little bit of college football. We've got some, I guess, international / MLS soccer we'll get into. But we will start in the NBA where, there's some closeout games. Some series were closed out, but we are going to start with one that may be closed out here in the very near future. The Los Angeles Lakers get blown out last night, 115 to 185. That means LeBron and company will face elimination 2 straight games. Here's what happened last night.
Ball is inbounded by the Lakers and stolen. They get it down to Booker. Suns have it. Booker for 3. Shazam! Was he on the line over there? Yes, it's a 2. 2-point hoop.
Shazam. Wait, that's Shaq's movie, right?
I was like, wait a second.
Using the Lakers stuff against him. Listen, Devin Booker with 30 last night. LeBron, I think, had like 24. But at the end of the day, no AD is a major, major problem for the Los Angeles Lakers. Mm-hmm. And what I find to be very, very interesting is now LeBron is going to face LeBron and company. I mean, because even though it feels like it's LeBron, he needs some help from some guys. If Davis isn't going to be able to go, then he needs somebody else to step up with him. This is to me, this is the greatest LeBron stat, because everybody points to, does he have 6 rings? Does he have 6? Dude, the fact that this dude has never lost in the first round of the NBA playoffs tells me what kind of level he's taken every team he's ever been on, regardless of the play. You can point to he was with the big 3. Listen, he had teams that were really bad in Cleveland.
Listen, that first round over in Cleveland, carried him all the way up.
Carried him to the NBA Finals and to the conference championship. This is to me, this is one of the stats that I probably look at and go, man, that's LeBron's. That to me is kind of what cements LeBron as being, in my mind, the greatest NBA player we've ever seen, is the fact that this guy carries his team through the first couple of rounds of the playoffs. He's 36. And as I mentioned, he's not just 36. He's 36. He's been in the league since he's, 18 years old? Mm-hmm. And with all these deep runs in the playoffs, add up the time that he's played in the playoffs, and that's got to be at least another season and a half, right?
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's
nuts.
crazy.
It has to be, yeah.
It's probably more than that. I'd have to look at the amount of games LeBron's played in the NBA playoffs throughout his career, and you think about all the deep runs that they've ever made. I mean, he's got to have at least a year, maybe 2 more full seasons underneath his belt. So the wear and tear, he can't do it alone.
Well,
I'm willing to admit now, as a LeBron guy, that at 36, he can't go it alone.
And I'm not the biggest LeBron guy. I do respect him, but I do like the fact that you take it that way, because a lot of other people be like, oh, he should have taken him further, like past the first one. No, just relax.
Take what? Like teams throughout his career?
Throughout his career, yeah. He should have kept on going.
Listen, Jordan lost in the first round multiple times, and he's the guy everybody compares him to. I'm just saying LeBron's never lost in the first round of the NBA playoff. That to me is just an amazing number.
Absolutely.
For the amount of times that guy's made the playoffs. But he's up against it now. He's going to have to find 2 wins in the next 2 games if the Lakers are going to stave off elimination.
Which, by the way, your guy Dennis Schroeder did pretty good last night too, man. Yeah.
He was terrible. All these guys are terrible.
Nope, 0 points.
All these guys are terrible.
He was like 0 for 9.
It's unbelievable. Obviously the plan is for Anthony Davis to be healthy. If that ain't going to happen, one of these other guys needs to step up.
Listen, they're out of here, man. I don't care what nobody says. It's over, man. D-Book and company, round 2.
I want to win Game 6. Make it dicey for Game 7. LeBron could get him past Game 6. Maybe AD comes back for Game. I don't know. Who knows?
The drama, huh?
Yeah, I need something like that. No drama when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets. They close out the Celtics last night.
Now Harden front court out high on the right. Feeds a rolling Brown. Pass outside of the left to Durant. He's open. A 3 on the way. He scores! On their feet, waving towels here at Barclays Center.
You know what?
Barclays.
You know what issue that the Nets don't have?
What?
Multiple players that can step up. All right, we talk about LeBron, and you're like, hey, can somebody else help this guy out? It was a KD last night, 24. Kyrie, 25. Harden, 34.
He had a triple-double too, right?
I didn't even look past the points.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had a triple. He had 35, 10, and 10. 35, 10, and 10. And that's the thing. That's a team. You think about Steve Nash, right? He has the easiest job in all of NBA, right? Because you have all these different players. They can play an ISO either way. It just feels like they're playing pickup ball. They just pass each other. Whoever comes up first, all right, cool. Let's see what's going on. And it's hard to defend that because you may try to, back up to the three-point line to stop them from shooting. Guess what? They're just going to blow by you for an easy 2. That happened multiple times last night.
No, that team's just got too much fire. I mean, there are too many bullets in that gun. I mean, you look at them, and what are they? They're poised to match up with. They're matching up with Milwaukee, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Looking forward to that.
I'm excited.
I'm looking forward to that. We talked a little bit about LeBron having to carry a team, and he's not able to do it now. I think at 36 years old, I'm willing to admit that he needs some help. You know who else needs help? And he's not 36, is Dame Lillard. He almost didn't need any help last night. He was almost a one-man gang. They come up short, though, and the Nuggets take a 3-2 lead in that series over the Trailblazers.
Jokic has it, the low block. On top over to Monte. Monte back over to Jokic. Turn around. Hook shot is up and in. Denver back in the lead by 2. 2 minutes to go, people.
It was a great game, though.
Yeah, no question. A little double overtime game there in the NBA playoffs. But Dame Lillard, 55 last night in double overtime, 9 for 10 from the three-point line. Dame Lillard. So here, it was funny because I'm looking at this stat line. Can we say that Dame Lillard's? Would we say he's one of the 5 best players in the NBA?
To me, he is. He's arguably my favorite player in the NBA just for what he brings to that team specifically. But when he turns it on, he could turn it on. He makes his team better. He lifts them up in these crucial situations, although, of course, they lost last night in double overtime. But 55, what else can you ask for the man?
He's going to go down in history like one of these Charles Barkleys, isn't he? That I think maybe Karl Malone maybe added a title late with I can't remember if he got one with the Lakers coming off the bench. But I'm talking about one of these guys that we recognize as an all-time great, but just couldn't carry his team to a title.
If they don't make it this season or this playoff round, he's going to have to make a hard decision, in my opinion, man. He can't keep on doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable individual player. 55 last night. But look, when you score 55 and you shoot it like you did last night and you lose, I mean, that's probably a long drive home for you. You start thinking about other options for yourself. All right, we'll switch it up. We'll go to the world of hockey, where the Tampa Bay Lightning take a 2-0 lead in their series over the Carolina Hurricanes with a 2-1 win last night.
Left wing, it is Hedman. Works it to Cirelli at center ice. Cirelli across the blue line, a step toward the slot. Backhand shot, score! Cirelli! 2-0 Lightning!
All right, Cirelli. There you go, Cirelli. 2-1. Listen, if you win 2-1 every single game, that means Vasilevsky once again standing on his head.
He's like this.
Standing on his head. He's blocking almost everything. Another one of the 3-star. I think in hockey you pick 3 stars of games, and then I think he was like,
and then that's it.
Yeah. Well, that's how you like kind of reward instead of like a player of the game. They pick 3 guys. And normally it's like 2 guys from the winning team, 1 guy from the losing team, generally speaking. Vasilevsky's been the absolute star of stars over the last 3 games for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Good for them. They take a 2-0 lead in that series. And then finally, because we showed love to the Rays yesterday, let us show love to your Yankees, who in extra innings finally put a stop to the Rays' winning ways.
The 0-1. Swung on, there it goes. Deep left field, it is high, it is far, it is gone. A walk-off, bottom of the 11th, game-winning, 2-run home run. Frazier, Clint Frazier. Frazier goes downtown. He hits a 2-run game-winning
downtown. Okay.
All right.
You hear, Mike?
Frazier goes downtown.
We'll see you guys tonight at 7:25.
Hey, coming up on the other side of the break, we'll turn our attention to the world of college sports, college football in particular, as Dan Mullen at the University of Florida got himself an extension and a raise. I will ask you this, college football / Gator fans, are the Gators overpaying for Dan Mullen? We'll explain coming up next. You're listening to Open Mic right here on The Game.
Bianchi's got to get a quick workout in.
What does Mike call it? The SEC money faucet?
Correct. I mean, it's not wrong. They're just giving out money. Giving it out over there at the SEC.
Scott Strickland went over to his money faucet yesterday. A couple of extensions and a raise, by the way. Extensions for both Mike White, the men's basketball coach, and Dan Mullen, the football coach there. But Dan Mullen also got a raise. And I these are always interesting. It's sort of the keeping up with the Joneses, what have you done for me lately type numbers. For Dan Mullen, he gets a 3-year extension through, I think, 2026.
Right.
His pay rate gets bumped up, I think, like $1.5 million, something like that, to I think a total of $7.6 million a year.
No big deal.
Right. Which makes him, by the way, the third highest paid coach in the SEC. 5th nationally. So if you get paid on results, right, that's saying that there are only 4 coaches in college football better than Dan Mullen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's why I say, have the Gators overpaid here a little bit? Because here's the other part to it. I start thinking about just in the SEC alone, if he's the third highest paid coach in the SEC behind Nick Saban, clearly, and then Ed Orgeron at LSU,
who
won a national championship just a couple of years ago. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I mean, Kirby Smart's won an SEC title. Shouldn't that be more valuable than an SEC East title? Or maybe it's just, when next time Kirby Smart's up for a raise, maybe he gets it. Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. He's won a national championship. Now, not at Texas A&M, but to me, if I were Jimbo Fisher, I'd be like, hey, wait a second now. I got a national championship under my as a head coach in my resume. I need to be. Texas A&M's athletic director, as does Georgia's athletic director, need to be put on notice that you're going to have a couple of guys standing at your front door when you arrive at work today going, hey, did you see this news about Dan Mullen getting paid?
He said, where's my money?
Hey, he's getting a $1.5 million bump. He made the SEC championship game. I've won national championship. I've won the SEC. I've won the whole conference.
And the Gators, they lost their last 3 games, no? Of course, they got killed in the Cotton Bowl, but before that as well.
Yeah, well, they lost. They lost to LSU because of the shoe toss, or in part due to the shoe toss. LSU had to make a bomb of a kick in the fog, and then lost to Alabama in a very, very competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
I almost said that, this is a discussion to be had for SEC fans. It's almost sort of unfair to judge any other coach in the SEC as far as their value or their merit, as long as Nick Saban is at Alabama.
Right.
Like, take Nick Saban out of Alabama, and you probably spread a bunch of those SEC titles around. LSU's got 1 or 2 more. Georgia's got 1. Florida probably has 1 or 2. Maybe, who knows, Texas A&M gets 1. Maybe, I don't want to say Tennessee. That was a long time ago. That was a long time. Yeah, hold on now. Don't get ridiculous now, Tennessee. But I looked at what, obviously being the third highest paid coach in the conference, you start to measure against the guys that are in the conference. I go, okay, clearly Saban gets paid more, deserves more. Ed Orgeron gets paid more, probably deserves more. And I start thinking, man, if you're Kirby Smart and you wake up this morning, I'm telling you the first, and by the way, Kirby Smart, as Dan Mullen was getting paid, Kirby Smart was getting transfers yesterday. He got Eric Gilbert, the tight end from LSU, who had once committed to Florida. Some issues there, so he decommits, and then now he ends up at Georgia, and then he also gets the defensive back, Kendrick, out of Clemson as well. So a couple of 5-star kids coming out of high school that, for one reason or another, wanted to transfer out of their schools, Clemson and LSU, both ending up at Georgia. So if you're Kirby Smart this morning, you're waking up, you're seeing this news and going, wait a minute, how am I not getting paid? I've won the SEC. I've competed in the national championship. I've played in the national championship game. I've made the playoffs.
He's just like dumbfounded what's going on, and then Dan Mullen comes in like, yo, is that Dan? Oh, there's Dan.
Dan Mullen.
There he is. Dan, what's going on, Dan? Welcome. Welcome to Open Mic, man. getting paid.
I think it was Les Miles who I think it was Les Miles who had it built into his contract that he had to make $1 more than the highest paid coach. It's either Les Miles or Bob Stoops. I can't remember which guy had that written in his contract. So no matter what contract anybody signed, like the very next year, Les Miles would have to make $1 more than that.
It's like toxic masculinity right there, like the alpha male type thing.
First of all, that's super petty, right? It's super petty. Like, hey, listen, I want to be paid $1 more than the most expensive guy, you know? But I will say this, that, you know, the way these contracts, anyway, it happens in all sports. I mean, that's why the highest paid guy keeps going up and up and up and up and up and up, is that the next guy in line, and I don't know who it is because I don't know the contract situation of all the guys inside the SEC, but I promise you that this morning there's some coaches around the SEC that looked up and said, oh, when am I due for an extension? Maybe I could ask for my extension now because Dan Mullen just got paid. He just got a bump up.
I was going to say, not even just an extension, a raise, too, on top of that. Like,
they're not even that interested in the extension. It's like, hold on now. One guy's making 7.56. I want to make 7.7. And that's how some of these guys are. They're super competitive. But it's all about the timing more times than not. It's about who's the next guy to get the bump. Right. And Dan Mullen's earned the bump. Won the SEC East. Competed well. Had an all-time great college tight end who was drafted, in the top 10 of the draft. You had a Heisman Trophy contending quarterback. You've made the New Year's Six Bowls, which matter. For 3 straight years. Those things are important, and those are the things you put on your resume. And I pointed to, hey, you've never won the SEC, you don't have a national championship, and there's other guys that have that. But what Dan Mullen's been able to accomplish at Florida in this short period of time, especially following the mess that McElwain left,
right?
Sort of, really put the feet back underneath the Florida program. Be interested to see what happens this year, though.
But do you think he deserves it? All things given.
Again, I think it's unfair to judge any coach in the SEC now because Saban's there. I would love an alternate universe where I could really gauge how good a coach. Here's the thing: if Nick Saban's not standing on the other sideline, Kirby Smart's got a national championship.
Right.
You know.
That's like the Michael Jordan conversation. If Mike wasn't on the Bulls and killing for all these years, Charles, all these different players will have chips. But
it's sort of like we had the conversation about Phil Mickelson last week. If not for Tiger Woods, how many majors does Phil Mickelson have? Mm-hmm. When you are competing, whether it's as a coach or as a player, in the same time as maybe the greatest who's ever done it, your numbers. Get slighted. It's almost unfair.
You have to chalk it up to the game, man. Dude, you have to chalk it up to the game.
I was thinking earlier today and go, man, how much more would we respect these guys as head coaches in the SEC if Nick Saban wasn't over there just winning essentially 2 out of every 3 years, maybe even greater than that. I have to do the numbers on it, but the SEC runs through Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
He said, I ain't going nowhere, so quit asking.
It doesn't seem like he's going to go anywhere. Why would he go anywhere? He's got that thing rolling quite well. But kudos to Dan Mullen, who can get some cheese on his Whopper now because he's got $1.5 million extra each and every year on his contract, which now runs through 2026. Coming up on the other side of the break, we'll turn our attention to Orlando City to get Daryl DK back. But for how long? We'll discuss that coming up next. You're listening to Open Mic right here on The Game.
Whether you're drinking your morning coffee or sipping on a seltzer.
Ain't no laws when you're drinking clogs.
You're listening to
6:34 back on Open Mic. Adam Kelly Velez with you here on this Wednesday morning. It's not Tuesday. If you're in your office right now, you're thinking, oh, it's Tuesday. No, it's not. It's Wednesday. We're almost there.
Already. Almost there already.
Almost there. Get past halfway of the work week. Oh, it's fantastic. Love the 4-day work week. Makes you want to move to like Sweden or Denmark. One of these.
Is that a thing?
I say that.
That's not a thing.
It seems like the kind of thing that would be happening in Sweden. The 4-day work week.
I mean, I believe it because I remember seeing different articles. There'll be like some city in Greece with like 200 people, the population, and they have a 4-day work week. And, one day they literally just rest. No work. Everything's closed. Everybody just relaxes for 1 day, full work weeks for 4.
But the question then becomes like, what about restaurants?
Closed.
All closed. Like, listen, you got to get accomplished. You got to get all your gas on a. Let's say that the work week is Tuesday through Thursday through Friday.
Right.
So that means on Friday you got to load up on gas. What if you're traveling long distance and you run out of gas?
Or if you just do it time by time, man, just every day pick up something. It's not that crazy.
Yeah, but
you can go one day without going outside.
Yeah, but if no gas stations are open Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and I go on a trip,
go over to the next town.
Oh, so it's just the one town.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only the one town.
It's one of those, and then apparently the life expectancy there is so much higher than everyone else because there's less stress. They're eating better, things of that nature.
Yeah, because you can't eat out at restaurants for 3 days out of the week. You got to cook at home. That's the truth. I'm dead serious.
It's true. It's true.
And we just had a birthday party, and Aunt Mary made her own homemade sauce. It's the best sauce I've ever eaten in my life.
Nothing like homemade.
Oh my goodness, it was amazing. Absolutely. Hey, speaking of going to Europe for 3-day work weeks or 4-day, I just bumped it down to 3-day work week. Look how lazy I am. You could also potentially see Daryl DK play soccer in the very near future. Maybe. Barnsley, not at Barnsley though, because they didn't get promoted to the Premier League. So they didn't have enough cash in the bank to make an offer to a transfer fee for Daryl DK from Orlando City. So they declined that. He was on the loan there, hopefully to get them promoted, but it didn't work out. And now he's back on Orlando City's roster. Now,
okay, real quick, not to cut you off, because I'm not too savvy on all this. So another club can come and try to take someone from the MLS if they have the capital and they can just transfer over?
Yeah, because you have to pay the club $20 million. So let's use the $20 million because that was the number that was sort of thrown around for Daryl DK. If Barnsley would have gotten promoted to the Premier League, that's immediately SEC money in the bank, which is they would have gotten $165 million. Maybe it's more than that now for the Premiership television contract. So for that next year, you got an extra 160 in the bank. But you want to stay up so you can keep that 160 every year. So you got to spend some of that money on good players. And if Daryl DK would have helped get them to the Premiership, clearly it would have been a guy that they wanted to keep.
Right.
So they didn't. So they're no longer a suitor, or they just can't be. They don't have the money for it. But there may be somebody else out there who saw what he did with Barnsley and said, "Hey, listen, we can use this guy." Now he's back with Orlando City because they loaned him out to Barnsley to get the experience because Orlando City was in an off season, and Barnsley's like, "Hey, we need some goals here to get us." At the time they got Daryl DK, they were 12th in the standings, and at the end they got to 5th or 6th, which put them in the playoffs. So it was a huge advancement. So his value only went up in the time that he was over there. So other teams could come calling and say, "Hey, listen, we'd like to take a flyer on this guy," and $20 million to some clubs is a lot of money. $20 million to some clubs isn't a lot of money. But right now he's back at Orlando City. Now, we won't see him for a while because Orlando City's on a bit of a break. I don't think they have their next game till the 19th or something like that. And Daryl DK is with the U.S. national team as well, and the national team has a bunch of things coming up. I want to say they've got the CONCACAF Cup. They've got a game tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Then they have a friendly coming up against Costa Rica, and then they have the Gold Cup, which happens in July. So there'll be a stretch that DK is not available anyhow for Orlando City. But my question is, will we see him finish the year? Will we see him? I mean, are there going to be teams in Europe to say, "Hey, listen, maybe not $20 million, but $15 million"? And if you're Orlando City, do you take it?
Right.
If you're Daryl DK, and I mean this with all due respect to Orlando City fans, the MLS is fine, okay? But when you got a player like that and you have Europe calling, that player wants to play in Europe.
Right.
They do. I mean, they just do. I mean, think about, if we just watched Pulisic the other day achieve something we've never seen an American player do, and that is play in a Champions League final. You know how you do that? By playing in Europe with the best teams in the best clubs. And we've seen other guy, Weston McKennie's over there now. We actually just saw there's a player who plays for FC Dallas who just was transferred to Roma. He had been on loan over there, and I think Roma paid the transfer fee for him, which was about $7 million or something like that. So it's happening more and more and more. It's about to happen to you. Now, it's bad because you see a really good player go and a really good young player that you go, hey, man, in 3 years, this guy could score 35 goals in the MLS.
Right.
These young players don't. You want to know who wants to score 35 goals in the MLS? Is guys like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, whose career for the most part in Europe at the highest level was done. Now Zlatan went back over to AC Milan and played pretty well over there, but you get my point. Sort of the guys whose careers are on the back end come over to MLS to score those. The young American player, think about it as a sacrifice, okay? A little bit of a sacrifice for you to be, sort of. I'm going to give up my time with Daryl DK here for Orlando City because I know long term it's going to benefit the U.S. national team. How about that?
See, that's a better way to frame it, I guess. But you think about it, if you're in any position, right? You're at a job, you're doing great, you have the opportunity to move up. A lot of people will be like, no, like you're doing great right there. Stay here. Stay with us. That's the selfish thing that Orlando City can do. Or you can see, because he's young, right? He's like 20 years old, if that.
Young. Yeah, out of college. So, I mean, he's got to be like 22, 23.
So it's like, you know what? Go spread your wings, young brother. Go spread your wings.
That and just the level of competition. And again, I don't want to turn this into MLS stinks compared to the rest of the world.
No. I'm not taking it like that.
No, but I mean, that is the, sort of the thought. And if you say, oh, well, you got to go to Europe to people, what we do over here is not good enough. No, it's not. It's not.
It's a different pedigree, man. I think I said that yesterday about playing abroad, especially with football.
Yeah, and with potential to play. At one point when DK was on his tear, there was a rumor, and European soccer media is as bad as TMZ when it comes to spreading rumors and back page articles about teams that one of the big six clubs in the Premiership was interested in Daryl DK. Now, that may be true, may not be true. Got no idea, okay? But the minute they start talking about that kind of stuff, and if that had an inkling of truth to it, then Daryl DK should go. And you as a fan should want him to go. And it's not like he's going to leave and leave you with nothing. You're getting $20 extra million to put in the tank to find other players, get young players, develop them. And by the way, here's the other part of it about it. Orlando City just lost their first game. They've not had Nani for a couple of games. Mueller's not playing well. Pato, a guy that they brought in to hopefully say, okay, well, let's see what happens with DK. He's been hurt the whole time. I mean, you don't even have all the bullets in the gun right now, and you're one of the 5 best teams in the MLS. So you're a championship contender without him right now.
Right.
If he decides to move on, the club decides to move on, you're going to get the money for him, and the team is already in really, really good shape. And, oh, by the way, you get to say, when you see that guy scoring goals in the World Cup, you get to say, I remember when he was at Orlando City.
That's our guy right there.
That was our guy. That was our guy. Hey, coming up on the other side of the break, we'll get into some other things from the world of sports. Let me see what we got coming up. Oh, we talked to you a little bit yesterday about Naomi Osaka and her issues at the French Open. I have a remedy. I've got a fix for that situation. I'll tell you what it is, see if you folks agree with me or not. That's coming up next. You are listening to Open Mic right here on The Game.
Open Mic. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
Who has the best?
her handle it the way she wants to in the best way that she thinks she can. And that's the only thing I can say. I think she's doing the best that she can.
I don't know if you heard, I think it was Venus Williams. I didn't hear it. I was actually reading it because I had the volume all the way down, but I was reading this, subtitles. That she says the way she deals with, dealing with the media is she looks out and recognizes that none of you can hold a candle to me.
Like, none of you can do what I do.
Yeah. That none of you guys are qualified necessarily to, write about what it is that I do. That's how I deal with it. I'm not intimidated by any of you because you guys really can't do what I can do.
But I love that's exactly what she said.
Yeah.
She said, listen, you can't hold a candle to me. That's what I love to hear.
Yeah. Well, she obviously, those two, the Williams sisters, have been brought up in it, and they were from day one, sort of like, the Williams sisters and Tiger Woods and the way they grew up with their fathers, kind of molding them and putting them in the spotlight very early on. They built the thick skin for it. You know what I mean? That they
from
developed.
Compton, man. Yeah. That's what they do, baby.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, they had to deal with a toughness, or had to be born with a toughness that maybe some other people around the tennis industry didn't.
But like Serena said, everybody's different, man. Even though they may have that tough exterior, Naomi's going through her own things on her own, and this is her way of trying to get around it. But I feel like the whole tennis association, whatever it is that has to do, because it's not just the French Open, it's everything.
It's all these Grand Slam. They all released a statement. We're going to work hard to say, so listen. It's not that hard, really. At the end of the day, we need to reevaluate kind of the value of athletes for us as human beings, not just as commodities, okay? Which is, hey, stick your face out there so we can put this Perrier bottle next to it, at the French Open, or, because you're selling things. I get it that you're selling things, and you need them to sell it, or you need them to help sell it. But to me, where their obligation to you to sell ends inside those lines. That's just for me, okay? But I'm a compromise guy. Anybody who knows me knows that says, listen, if I feel one way about something and you feel the complete opposite, I'm always willing to find some sort of middle ground with you.
It's good.
So my feelings are that Naomi Osaka owes the sport of tennis and the French Open and Wimbledon and the U.S. Open and the Australia. You know what she owes? She owes you to go out there and play tennis. She is a tennis player, not a tennis speaker, not a tennis question answerer, not a tennis thing. She is a tennis player. She gets paid to play tennis. And if she gets money from Nike to be in a Nike commercial, then that's her decision. Okay? But I get it where guys like Mike and those other people who go, hey, you think she needs to do these obligations, all right? And I hate the word obligation because I don't feel like she should be obligated to do anything except for be a tennis player, which is then to play tennis. Here's where I'll say, okay, I get it, Mike, and other tennis writers around the world. Not that Mike's a tennis writer. He used to play tennis back in the day. But you've got questions. You want answers. You need it. You couldn't possibly write a tennis article without getting a forward quote from Naomi Osaka. It'd be impossible to do that. So here's the middle ground. I think that in tennis, maybe in all sports, we should develop a system, which shouldn't be that hard. We all text message each other every single day, where you as a writer have a question. You fire off that question into a portal. And then that portal randomly selects 10 questions amongst the throngs of media that can't wait to talk to Naomi Osaka. And that goes to a handler of hers. That when she's
a manager,
a coach, somebody that she trusts, somebody that she appoints, that she feels comfortable around, that her mental health is of the utmost importance. And then she's got X amount of time to answer the questions that are sent to her. She doesn't have to get up in front of the camera and stand there. Things that make her feel uncomfortable, things that make her anxious, things that get her depressed.
Right.
So you'll get your answers in an hour, I don't know how long a press conference lasts after a match. I don't know what the time frame is where they get off the court and they have to show up for this thing where you stick a mic right in their face after they lose a difficult 5-set match. I don't know what that is. But we can figure it out. We can figure out somewhere in between, hey, I don't want to do it, and hey, you have to do it. Let's figure out a way that you can do it and feel comfortable doing it. There is nothing wrong with meeting in the middle. And the willingness to meet in the middle, to me, is always one of the great strengths of people. People think to show strength, you must not budge. You've got your feelings on something. You can't change that opinion. No way. That shows weakness. Now, to me, the weakness is not being willing to meet in the middle for the common good. So again, just an idea off the thought off the top of my head. Let's create some sort of portal where you can fire off questions. And listen, just like any other press conference, there's no guarantee you're going to get your question answered.
Right.
But you're going to get a list of questions that were asked, and you're going to get a list of answers, just like you would have had she had to be there.
But the thing is, to me, it makes sense, the compromise that you're saying, right? Because I think one thing that people are missing, at least the way that I've read it and seen it, it's not like she's saying she doesn't want to do the post-game conferences ever again. She just like, there's certain times when she's battling with, mental bouts, things of that nature, that she doesn't want to go out there.
Yeah.
So that's a great compromise because, like I said, it's not going to be every time, but when the time comes, you're still going to get your answers, your questions answered. You're going to get your bits. She's going to be able to, quote unquote, advertise whatever it is that they need to advertise. And that's the funny thing, too. I heard somebody say, oh, like, this is one of the reasons they do the post game is to, advertise the tennis players and all that. I'm like, dude, Naomi's a huge name now. She's incredible.
Grand slams. Yes, she's 23 years old. She doesn't need.
Don't play yourself.
Yeah, and the idea that I'm tuning in for Naomi Osaka's press conference versus her tennis match is ridiculous.
Right.
It's ridiculous. So for me, I gave it some thought, and I said, hey, listen, we can figure out a better way with the technology that we have today. We don't have to parade these people if they don't feel comfortable doing it. Because, listen, I don't want to lose Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, over the next 10 years because she's not Naomi Osaka. I feel comfortable in front of cameras and speaking publicly to media. I just don't feel good about that. We can get her answers in her time, in a way that maybe she feels comfortable. And listen, we've changed the way we educate kids in our schools, to accommodate people that learn differently. Why can't we do that with athletes who maybe communicate differently? We can do that. They are more than just a commodity. They are human beings, and we should treat them as such. And I hope that moving forward, tennis, the Grand Slams, everybody around the world of sports sort of maybe values them as human beings as much as we value them as athletes. Let's take a 10-second pause for station identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach, Orlando. Facebook.com/969 The Game.
And what a weird situation to get it done, right? With those 3 second places back in 2017, a pole and then go ahead and win the race. Going to do it again right here in 2021.
Kyle Larson wins the Coca-Cola 600. Rick Hendrick, career win 269. The irony of returning the number 5 to Hendrick Motorsports this year, the number with which All-Star Racing, owned by Rick Hendrick, scored their first victory at Martinsville.
My buddy.
Nobody knows NASCAR like our buddy does.
Hey there, buddy, chum, pal, friend, buddy, pal, chum, bud, friend, fellow, brother, amigo, pal, buddy, friend, chummy, chum, pal.
Here's Orlando sports TV legend, Buddy Pittman.
Buddy Pittman used to talking to Mike Bianchi. Mike's on vacation. He's in New York City. Do NASCAR fans frown upon the idea of Mike Bianchi being in New York? That's too big a city, right? Come on now.
So Mike's going big city on us. Is that what you're telling me?
I remember when NASCAR was like they wanted to go big city as well. But then they got back to their roots. Mike Bianchi needs to get back to his roots, which, fortunately enough for all of us, he will be coming up on Monday on the show. But until then, it's Kelly Velez and I holding it down. We'll talk a little NASCAR with Buddy Pittman, our NASCAR insider here on Open Mic. Buddy, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Adam. How are you today?
I'm doing quite well, and I'm not doing as well as Kyle Larson, who apparently now is a multiple-time winner on the NASCAR circuit this year.
Well, he is indeed a multiple winner this year, and the thing about it is he has just been a dominating figure so far. Of course, he had his problems last year where he was suspended from NASCAR and then came back this year. Hendrick Motorsports gave him an opportunity to come back and kind of redeem himself and rebuild his character and his driving career. And, boy, has he certainly done that. When you stop to look at this, I mean, what a dominating performance he turned in. NASCAR's longest race, the Coca-Cola 600, and this guy led 327 of the 400 laps. And that was just a dominating performance. He won all three stages, won the race. And you keep in mind how strong this guy has been this year. Everyone knew he was going to be good when he got into good Hendrick Motorsports equipment. But look at what this guy has done this year. In 6 of the 15 races, he has finished first or second in 6 of those 15 races. So he has been competing for a win almost every week. He's also the first driver this season to top over 1,000 laps led by any drivers. And as we heard in that lead-in that you were talking about, career win number 269 for Hendrick Motorsports. That tops Richard Petty and Petty Motorsports or Petty Enterprises for the most career wins by any organization. So a huge weekend for Kyle Larson. He continues to dominate, continue to show his stuff, and a huge weekend once again for Hendrick Motorsports.
Well, Kyle Larson's reclamation project of his career, I think maybe the easy part is the part that's on the track. Do you know of things that he's done off the track to sort of rebuild his image? Obviously, again, he had the incident and he's gotten the second chance from Hendrick Motorsports. Does he do stuff, off the track to sort of, rebuild his image away from the NASCAR ranks?
Yes, he certainly does. I mean, when he went back through just to get back to NASCAR and to get NASCAR to reinstate him, that was a huge process that he had to go through there because, of course, his problem was what got him suspended was the fact that he used the racial slur when they were doing the iRacing each week. He used a racial slur inadvertently, and it was picked up and was heard by everyone else that was online. And that's what got him suspended and ultimately fired from his ride with Ganassi. And then he had to sit out. But one of the processes that he had to go through that NASCAR stipulated was he had to take the sensitivity training. He had to do all of those kind of classes. But he also had to work with people in the African-American community and communicate with them and learn from them firsthand what they had gone through, their experiences, and their perspective on life, which in turn gave him more perspective. He has a racing organization, works with a group, I believe it's in Philadelphia, of young black kids that trying to help them in life and also introduce them to racing and just talking with them. So he meets with them on a regular basis. So, yes, it's a process. He works with a number of organizations, and it's a process that will continue to go on. And I think from Kyle's perspective now, he realizes the importance of what he's doing away from the racetrack, not only for himself, but for the sport and just for, humanity. So I think this has been a big learning experience for him, and it's one that's not going to stop just because he's now back in the sport. It's one that'll continue, that he'll continue to grow as well as his career.
But we were talking about the French Open earlier. It's a Grand Slam event. And the Coca-Cola 600, is that a Grand Slam event? If you had to pick the 4 events that guys want to win, obviously the Daytona 500 being the first one, if you had to pick 3 other races, I'm thinking maybe Talladega is another one of the Talladega races. But is this Coca-Cola 600, is this one of the races that drivers circle and say, this is one of the big ones that you want to win each and every year?
Oh, absolutely. The Coca-Cola 600 is one of what they call the crown jewels of racing. And it's one that everyone wants to win, mainly because one of the reasons it's the longest race, 600 miles. It's at what they call their home track, which is of course, right there in the base of Charlotte, so everyone wants to win on their home track. But when you come to NASCAR, there are 4 main events, which they call the crown jewel races each year. There's the Daytona 500, of course. There's at Talladega. There's at Charlotte in the 600, and then there's at Darlington. So to win those crown jewel races is a huge honor. It's a huge experience for any of these drivers just to win a race because of how difficult it is to win races anywhere. But to win one of the crown jewel events, that is a huge win, particularly, like I say, at Charlotte. And of course, the Daytona 500, that speaks for itself. Talladega is the monster of a track as well. And winning at Charlotte and at Darlington, which is one of the oldest tracks. Those are the 4 main races each year that people really look, the drivers really look to try and capture one of those to be able to say they've won a crown jewel race.
Buddy Pittman, our NASCAR insider, joining us here on Open Mic. You mentioned Rick Hendrick becoming the winningest owner in NASCAR history with 269 wins. And, kind of keeping with the Grand Slam thing, maybe even Mount Rushmore. When I think about Rick Hendrick, and I'm a little bit young, I say a little bit young. I'm in my 40s. Who am I kidding? Okay. When you're in your 40s, you're not allowed to say a little bit young. I'm a little bit young to NASCAR.
That's young to me. Let's put it that way.
So I think Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson. If I'm doing a Mount Rushmore of Hendrick drivers, who are the 4 drivers that I'm putting up there?
Well, of course, you got to put, like you said, Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, and I think the Mount Rushmore still is wait to be built because I think you probably at some point in this career is probably going to add a Chase Elliott or someone along that character that is yet to really complete his career as far as where it's going to go and the I guess you could say the ultimate rewards of what he's going to do. He's got a young driving core now. Kyle Larson, of course, is poised to win a lot of these races. But then you go back and you've had people that through the years have driven from him, like, Darrell Waltrip drove for Hendrick Motorsports for a while. Terry Labonte won a championship for Hendrick Motorsports. And it's guys like that. I would say probably the 3, of course, are got to be Johnson, Jeff Gordon. I would include Terry Labonte on that list, and then I would leave one more open because I think there's another great, Jeffrey Bodine won the very first race back in 1984 for Hendrick Motorsports in that number 5 car, as we heard, and it's appropriate that not only do they get that first win in number 5, but they get number 269 this past weekend, which gives them the most wins by any organization. But those 3, I think, and then I would leave one open for a driver yet to be determined. So Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Terry Labonte, and then one other, perhaps a Chase Elliott or a Kyle Larson, because as you're seeing, he's starting to really dominate and starting to really show what he can do.
When you say Terry, is that Texas Terry Labonte? Did he used to drive the number 5 Kellogg's car? Is that right?
That's right. That's Texas Terry Labonte. He drove the 5 Kellogg's car for Hendrick Motorsports. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you left off Dale Earnhardt Jr. Well, Dale Earnhardt Jr. is, of course, a huge name in the sport and always will be and has done a lot for the sport. But as one of the, let's say, top drivers at Hendrick Motorsports, he had his share of success there, but I just think there's going to be others that are going to top what he's been able to do there.
Buddy, let me ask you about the Indy 500 was this weekend, okay? Yes. And I didn't really know until I'm reading across the ticker. And I'll be honest, when I was younger, I used to tune in for it. I used to watch Al Unser Jr. and Bobby Rahal, and it was something that I watched in the house. And then NASCAR over the last couple of years, the numbers are down. We've seen some of these tracks take chairs and take seating out of them. What needs to be done to sort of reignite the casual sports interest in motorsports racing? Or is it just one of these cyclical things that right now the casual sports fan loves football, we love basketball, we love baseball, and then we only have so much time for other things, so maybe right now they're paying a little bit more attention to soccer, whereas 10 years ago they were giving NASCAR the shot?
Yeah, well, I think I think part of it is the cyclical thing like you're talking about, but I think a lot of it has to do with, when you really look at across the board, attendance is down for everything. I mean, except maybe football, the NFL. I mean, basketball attendance is down, the TV numbers are down. Baseball attendance is down, the TV numbers are down. The same thing is true with NASCAR. The TV numbers are down and attendance is down at these tracks. But one thing to keep in mind when you're comparing the NASCAR numbers to these other sports is at an NBA arena, they're looking to put, maybe 20,000 people in there to fill the house. At a NASCAR race, they're looking to put 100,000 people in there to fill the house. So you're talking about a much bigger venue, much many more people that you're trying to put in there to say, hey, we've got a big crowd here. And granted, in years past, they've been able to fill those and do that with 100,000 people. So I'm certainly acknowledging the fact that things are down. I think a lot of it has to do also with the fact that people, life gets in the way, and life gets in the way of everybody doing even things you want to do. Maybe you want to go watch a race, but you just don't have the time, don't have the money, don't have the inclination. There's just something else that takes precedent over it. So I think there's a lot of factors that go into it, why the numbers are down at NASCAR, but they're down for every sport. And I think that's something that's when people want to say, oh, NASCAR is really in trouble, their numbers are down. Well, numbers are down for everybody. And I think sports in general just has to come up with a new way to market itself, so to speak, because people absorb their media in a different way now. It's not like it used to be back 15, 20 years ago when everyone wanted to get out there to a NASCAR race or sit and watch it every weekend because, well, I can do something else with that 3 hours, and then I can watch and get the highlights online or watch a recap show. And so I think there's just a way that people absorb media, and life is different now. So I think it all goes into it. But on a positive note here, over most of the races so far this season in NASCAR, the numbers have been up over what they were last year. Now, of course, keep in mind we were in the COVID situation most all of last year. So, but at least if you can take one positive thing out of it, the numbers are up a little bit as far as NASCAR is concerned with the TV this year, and hopefully with the attendance once they're able to get folks back in the stands and that sort of thing. The Indy 500, I'll mention that real quick. Helio Castroneves, got to give some props out to him, 46-year-old, winning Indy for the fourth time. Joins A.J. Foyt, Al Unser, and Rick Mears as the only guys to win Indy 4 times, so congratulations to him. But the Indy Racing Series, talking about having problems, they are one of those sports where they're looking for drivers that people can relate to. I mean, more people know Helio Castroneves from winning Dancing with the Stars than they do being an IndyCar driver. And that is part of the problem with the recognition factor in IndyCar. 90% of the exposure for IndyCar for the whole season comes in the month of May at the Indy 500. The rest of the year is a problem. And I think that's just part of the sport that Indy has to try to recoup from and come more relatable to the fans and have more drivers that are relatable to the fans. And I think that'll eventually happen. I know now that Penske owns it. He's working to increase that and make that happen. But it's like I say, it's a process, and it's going to be a lot of work.
Buddy Pittman, our NASCAR insider, even delves into the world of Indy racing for us as well. Buddy, appreciate your time as always, and I'm sure you'll be excited to have Mike back next week.
Well, Adam, it's always great talking to you. I never get a chance to really talk to you that much, so it's my pleasure this week to have the chance to talk with you.
Appreciate it, buddy. Buddy Pittman, our NASCAR insider here on Open Mic. Coming up next, a little sound off. We'll get some notable notes and quotable quotes from the folks in the world of sports. That's coming up next. You're listening to Open Mic right here on The Game.
This is Markel. off. Oh man, well, we're gonna sound off. What was it? You put it in a perfect way earlier, Adam. What was it?
The notable quotes and quotable quotes. That's not mine. No, that's somebody else's. I stole that from somebody. Who?
I just said you put it in the right way. I didn't say it was yours.
Okay, well.
Who are you, Mike?
I borrowed. That's right. Mike, the king of borrowing things and claiming them as his own.
By the way, Mike will be joining us at 7:45, so keep it locked right here. But first, we got to get to if he wants to play. Sound off. Gotta love you, folks.
They are getting further along. Every time out, whether it's good or bad performance, whether it's cohesive or not, I think it leads itself to more growth, more understanding, more cohesion. And then some of it is they're just terrific players and are able to take over the game in stretches individually.
Nets coach Steve Nash speaking about something that I've been critical of the Nets about for quite some time, Adam, just the fact that it's not too cohesive, their offense, but since they're all three incredible scorers that can take over late in the game, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and especially against teams that they're infinitely greater than.
True.
And so in this moment, there's enough balls to go around for everybody against teams that, one, aren't at 100% strength, and two, even at 100% strength, aren't as good as you. They play Milwaukee next. Listen. It's been a long time since I've been excited to watch an NBA game that doesn't have LeBron James on the floor.
Right.
One, I'm a LeBron James fan, and two, he tends to be in the most important games, because his teams are normally really good. This is I am dialed in. I will find my way to the television set multiple times during this series to watch large chunks of it. Now, am I committing to watching the game from tip to final whistle? Probably not. I'm a busy guy, got kids, got a fiance, got all kinds of things going on. But this is the kind of series that for the first time, and I'm telling you, in a long time, without LeBron James on the floor, I'm interested to watch this.
I'm really interested to see how Giannis and company really come out the gate and set the tone for the series. Because you have to against this team, or else they'll blow you out the whole time.
Yeah, you'll be looking up at the scoreboard going, is that thing going to stop changing or not?
Sound off. Well, he's a really hard worker. He's in here extra long. I think the other day the running back coach told him, hey, Najee, I have to go home now. And that just shows that he's still in there watching film, and he's constantly asking questions. And that's good. I mean, he doesn't seem lost. It's not like it's too big for him. His head's not spinning. He's asking questions, which is good, but he's out there and he's playing fast. And I think the most exciting part about Najee that I think we're all going to be excited to see is once he gets it and it clicks and he goes full speed, man, it's going to be something to see.
Ben Roethlisberger at OTAs the other day speaking about the addition of Najee Harris. Now, Ben has taken a pay cut. He said that he's played his worst type of football at the end of last season. And he says that the offense is going to be completely different this season. Adam, do you believe him?
I mean, they didn't want to re-sign Le'Veon Bell for what he wanted. They got some good years out of James Conner, but then they draft Najee Harris. And listen, I don't know if Ben doesn't watch a lot of college football. I don't know. We've all seen Najee Harris play the last couple of years. Dude can play, and he's right. If he gets the playbook, if he continues his upward growth, and this just seems to be one of these guys that wants to get better, wants to continue to get better. Sky's the limit for him, and barring injury, you're going to have another guy in that offense, maybe a guy that can take the load off of Ben Roethlisberger and that offense, and a guy that you can hand the ball to, throw the ball to, and we all know that offense is probably predicated on being able to run the football first, and then Ben Roethlisberger can do damage down the football field.
Just don't be a statue under center, please, Ben.
He's been in the league long enough. I don't know that he can. He's got a lot of choice.
I don't know how much I'll let him do, with guys chasing him around. We'll see. We'll see what the doctors say, and he may be doing a lot of coaching.
It's Bruce Arians talking about Tom Brady being at OTAs, doing more coaching than playing. I think we all understand what's going on here, but I feel like this is a little precursor to what's to come in the future for Tom, huh?
Well, I mean, what you think coaching?
You know?
No way. No.
Why not?
Oh, I mean, because he's going to be multiple Super Bowl winner.
Well, I don't mean now.
No, even like later on. Believe me, Gisele Bundchen's sitting at home right now, going, "Listen, I've waited 15 years to for us to travel and do things. You're not going to start coaching." You're not going to start coaching now. But what I will say is he will do about as much coaching in the future as he will being chased by defensive players during OTAs and preseason workouts. That'll be none. And Bruce Arians is right to say he's probably going to be doing a lot of coaching. Translation, we're not going to have him on the field, risking any sort of goofy injury during the offseason. I sort of know what Tom Brady brings to the table. I don't need a good look at him during the preseason.
We need to preserve him, okay?
Yeah, right.
We got our ass kicked. I mean, it's just that simple. They got to whatever they wanted to get to in this game, and we got to be better, obviously, if we want to force a Game 7. So, obviously, a lot to learn from in this game, a lot to cover. See, what we got to do better going into Game 6, but. I mean, they pretty much just kicked our asses. I mean, it's nothing else really to say.
LeBron, it's over. It's over. LeBron, AD is out. LeBron, your ankle is not going to hold up carrying the load of this whole team, man. Phoenix is going to continue on. What do you think, Adam?
Game 6 in L.A., right?
Yeah.
Game 6 in L.A. Get that Game 6 win, okay? By hook or by crook, got to get that Game 6. Force a Game 7. LeBron, LeBron has the highest scoring average in elimination games in NBA history.
All right, LeBron fan.
I know.
LeBron fan 89 in the building over here.
At LeBron. At King James fan 74. But it's a number you got to recognize because he recognizes we got our asses kicked and our backs are against the wall. It is win or go home. Mm-hmm. So LeBron's going to put it all. What did he shoot the ball 19 times the other night?
Yeah.
19 times last night. That ain't enough. All right? That ain't enough for LeBron.
He said you got to pump that up. Those are rookie numbers.
Those are, listen, unless you're going to make 12 of 19, you know what I mean? It's got to be in the 25 range. He's got to take over the game. Now, granted, they were out of the game early last night.
They were down by like 30 at half.
At halftime, yeah. No, they were down like, I think Phoenix went on like some sort of 13-0 run. It was like, it was never really a game last night. They literally got their asses kicked last night. So he's got to lead this team to victory. And at 36, if they were to come back and win this series, as a 7 seed, 36 years old, no AD, all the wear and tear on his tire, if they come back, it's better than winning a title.
Oh, man.
It's better than any title he's ever won. Okay?
Oh, man. Wow. Sound off. And that's the sound off for today, ladies and gentlemen. Adam, let them know what we have coming up.
Coming up next, we'll speak again about Daryl Dike, his future back with Orlando City, as Barnsley couldn't afford to keep him there in Europe. But will a European team come a-calling? And we won't be seeing him for a while because Orlando City on a nice little extended break. We'll discuss Daryl Dike's future with Orlando City coming up next. You're listening Open Mic right here on The Game.
Open Mic. We'll be back in a couple.
with Open Mic.
All right, 7:38. Back on Open Mic. Mike Bianchi, by the way, will join us coming up in the next segment, correct?
The Bulldog, man, in the building. Well, not in the building, but he'll be in the building.
He'll be on the phone. He'll be on the phone. Hey, I wanted to bring up Daryl DK again and his future now. We know that he was loaned away to Barnsley, and there was some rumor that Barnsley would be interested in signing him. Obviously, that would be predicated on them being promoted to the Premiership, which they were not. And so they are obviously not a suitor. But his time over in Europe was certainly well spent. And the value of a Daryl DK went up, I won't say exponentially, but it went up a lot. At one point, people throwing around a $20 million price tag for him. Now, that may be high, that may be low, depending on who's willing to pay it. And there are some clubs out there that $20 million isn't just a whole lot to. But he's back now at Orlando City, or at least for the time being now. Orlando City's got a break till I think about the 19th of this month. They've got some time off, and then he's actually with the U.S. men's national team, who has a CONCACAF Cup game coming up tomorrow night. I don't know that he's on the roster for that team right now, or he's been selected, but I know he's with the team. I believe he's with the team. And then they also have a friendly coming up a little bit later on in June against Costa Rica. And then they've got the Gold Cup, which comes up as the CONCACAF Gold Cup, which comes up in July, which is this region's version of their European Championships, if you will. And so that's coming up here. So he'll be spending a lot of time with the U.S. national team, so away from the club side at Orlando City, even during the games. Orlando City's got a couple of games sprinkled in, during those little windows there. I know, especially on the 19th, they play. So he is not with the team. My question is, how long will he be with the team? And will he see out this entire season? I'll be very interested to see if the rumors of $20 million turn out to be true. And again, over in Europe, when it comes to soccer and transfer news, I would say believe 5% of what you read, because they are quite liberal over there with their headlines and with their stories,
right.
and some stuff, most stuff turns out not to be true. But what we do know is he's an exciting, strong, physically gifted young player, an American. And we've seen recently, we talked about Pulisic yesterday, being the first ever American male to play in the Champions League final with Chelsea, actually win it as well, and be a contributor. Is that the career trajectory of a Daryl DK? Who knows? And it doesn't have to be in England either. There's other clubs around the world, and there's other leagues around the world that I think he'd benefit from. And I was kind of joking around. I'm a Manchester City fan and would love to see Erling Haaland end up with Manchester City, who's a young Norwegian striker who plays for Borussia Dortmund. I said, that'd be great. If Haaland ends up at Manchester City, then DK could just go to Borussia Dortmund, who is well known for taking young players and developing them and turning them over to the much larger clubs. Matter of fact, they have a young American player on the team right now, Giovanni Reina. Christian Pulisic, who we just mentioned, played for Borussia Dortmund as well. So this is Borussia Dortmund, and I was kind of like joking, making sort of a way for my favorite team to get a really good player. Maybe Borussia Dortmund makes the most sense. Maybe a club like that is known for taking young up-and-coming players, developing them, competing for a Bundesliga title, being one of the top 3 teams in Germany, always competing for a Champions League spot. Heck, they got a guy on their team, I want to say an Englishman, who's like 17 years old. I mean, so they're not afraid to get young, sort of raw talent and turning and taking them to that next level. Maybe that's the perfect spot for a Daryl DK. I mean, we're talking about the big six in England. Do I think he's ready for that? Do I think he's ready for that sort of prime time? The answer, truthfully and honestly, is no. I don't.
You got to give him a little bit of time.
I think he needs. I think a Borussia Dortmund would be absolutely perfect.
Well, according to the Orlando Sentinel, says the CEO, is it Alex Leitao?
Yeah.
Is that you say it? Previously said that the Lions are targeting a summer window as a prime time to field offers for his transfer. Once the transfer window opens, the Lions could begin to field offers. After already receiving interest from teams throughout England and Europe, the Lions already turned down one offer from a quote-unquote Big Six Premier League team for $10 million earlier this season. So offers are coming in.
All right.
So let's see.
All right. So they turned down $10 million from a Big Six club.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll see. We'll see.
It says apparently the team has set their minimum transfer price at $20 million.
20 mil. We'll see if somebody's got 20 mil to spend on a young American striker. And we'll see how that impacts his time here at Orlando City. Either way, great news for DK. And listen, great news for the franchise here, because he ain't leaving for free. I can tell you that. You're going to get something for him. And then, oh, by the way, look at the team without him right now. One of the top 5 teams inside MLS, so something to be excited about if you're an Orlando City fan. You'll have a really, really good team, and you got some cash in the bank. Coming up on the other side of the break, we will bring the Bulldog, Mike Bianchi, on to Open Mic. It's his show. He can come on whenever he wants. He chooses 7:45. That's coming up next.
Open Mic, the best radio show in town. Isn't that right, Urban Meyer?
I think your facts are not surprisingly incorrect.
I have found the perfect weekend beach getaway for all my fellow Orlandoans. I'm talking about Hard Rock
Time to put the pedal to the floor. It's loud and live and local. Oh, time for open mic.
You are listening to Open Mic right here on 96.9 The Game. Online, 969thegame.com. Okay, Google, Alexa, just say, hey, listen, want to listen to 96.9 The Game? And they will serve it up to you. You can also check us out on YouTube. The Open Mic live stream available to you. We've got links on Facebook and Twitter as well. You want to reach out to the program, you can. 407-916-8255 is the phone number. You can always text message the show at 50857, and then you can always tweet at us at 96.9 The Game. Adam Reardon, Kelly Velez holding it down while Mike Bianchi is on vacation in beautiful New York City, where he joins us from right now. Mike, good morning. How are you, my friend?
I am doing fine, Adam Reardon. Having a great time in New York. Visited my daughter's hoity-toity clothing store yesterday. She just graduated from FIT, the Fashion Institute of Technology up here in New York. So we went and visited her store with her new job yesterday, and she was trying to sell me a pair of sneakers at her new store, okay? They were like these fashion type sneakers, but they look good. I mean, they look like the type of sneakers I would wear, so I looked at the bottom of them.
For the price?
Yeah, $1,200.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Mike? I'm glad you finally went to her department store. You know, got to see exactly what she does on a daily basis. Almost bought some $1,200 sneakers. See, Mike has already turned big city on us, guys.
No. Hold on. I know Mike well enough that he looked at the bottom of those shoes, and you know what he did? Put them right back down. He's like, no.
Yeah, those were $1,295, as in $1,200. Yeah, $1,295. And I was wearing my Walmart boots. All right, my Walmart boots, which are $19.95, except $19.95. Yeah.
You know what's funny is that if Mike went up there with his regular wardrobe on, like he just went up there with the stuff right out of his closet, there would be people that are going, "Oh my God, I love that vintage look. Oh my God, that is." Oh my gosh, that is the look I'm going for.
He's fringe.
Exactly what happened. I had my Bob Dylan T-shirt on, with my old khaki shorts, and yeah, I'm in style now, vintage.
What's funny is your Bob Dylan shirt. It actually came from a Bob Dylan concert where, like, a lot of these kids buy their stuff from like one of these stores that have the graphics tees, like Jimi Hendrix.
Like the repurposed ones, American Apparel.
Well, but it's like a brand new shirt.
Yeah.
No, Mike got his literally by watching Jimi Hendrix. It's the same. It's like the new style.
Right about that.
Yeah, no question about it. So, hey, Mike, I felt bad yesterday because I had a strong feeling about something, and then you had a strong feeling about it, and you and I were like kind of worlds apart. And so I spent the entire day yesterday contemplating
about the media press conferences, aren't you?
Yeah, thinking about how I could bring our worlds together, and I came up with an idea that I thought was pretty good. But okay. I have been taking a little bit of a ribbing around the water cooler, if you will. But somebody did tweet at me and said that the Associated Press does this already. So if an athlete doesn't want to come face the media, right? They don't want to come up there and talk, publicly. Maybe they have some mental health issues or whatever it may be. A way for you guys to get your questions answered that you want for your story is that you type in your questions to some sort of portal, and then it gets sort of emailed to them. And they have an hour to respond to these questions via email. And so it's already in print. You can just copy and paste it right in your story, so it saves you a little time. I mean, then everybody's happy. Is there anything wrong with that plan?
Well, what they do it with officials now. Like the officials don't have press conferences, so there's a pool reporter that you give the pool reporter the questions, and they go ask the official, the question. So there's one reporter and then they report back with all the, the comments. So they do it like that. But yeah, Yeah, you could do it like that if you have a case like Naomi Osaka, who obviously has some issues, some anxiety issues. I don't think you want to make that a regular thing, though, because again, I think we're talking about we talk about the media like it's just you and I and the Orlando Sentinel, but the media today is, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, is ESPN and Fox and CBS. This is the media, and they do pay a lot of money to have access to these athletes, and that's part of their contracts. Hey, if we're going to pay you $3 billion for this TV contract, like for instance the SEC network, I think coaches in the SEC are beholden to go on Paul Feinbaum's show because Paul Feinbaum is the SEC network, and obviously ESPN runs the SEC network, and they're paying a lot of money. So again, that's part of the deal, and that's part of how pro sports became huge today is the media. I mean, you go look at the history of the NFL and Pete Rozelle when he was the commissioner back in the early 60s, and the NFL was nothing. And Pete Rozelle, who was a former PR guy, his entire strategy was to get exposure, get in all the newspapers back in the day, get in all the TV networks. That's part of the deal, and that helps build interest in your sport. So it's not just that the media wants to ask questions. It's also that these leagues want the media to ask questions. They want exposure because they want to build interest in their product. And tennis, I mean, let's face it, tennis is not the sport it once was, and they want the media, and they want the fans interested in their sport. So again, it's not just the media wants to ask questions. It's also a marketing tool for the league.
Let me ask you this, because I've never been. I went to one press conference one time and I left early because I just wasn't that interested in being there anymore. So is a press conference on a time limit? Like, so basically, hey, we got 500 people show up. Maybe the University of Florida, use that as an example. If you go up there to talk to Dan Mullen today about, or ask him questions about his raise and whatnot. Are they on like a time limit? Like, hey, everybody's got like 45 minutes here, and if we get to all your questions, great. If not, sorry about your luck. Better luck next time. Is that how it works?
Well, usually, like friends, we'll use Dan Mullen. Like during the week, he'll have a press conference on Monday of game week. All right, yeah, and it's like an hour long, 30, between 30 minutes and an hour long, and he usually stays there and answers all the questions there are to be asked. So you usually have time to, but after a game, it's a little bit different. After a game, it's, there's a warm down period where, 15, 20 minutes after the game, the players and the coach will go in the locker room, then the coach will come out and talk to the media for 10 or 15 minutes, and the same with players. So after a game, you're on much more of a time constraint.
All right, let's, speaking of being on time constraints, let's take a 10-second pause for legal identification.
WYGM Orlando, WJRR HD2 Cocoa Beach. Listen live on iHeartRadio. Now. No, seriously, do it now.
You feel that?
I can feel it.
We're about to blast off.
Just took it to my veins!
It's time for the blast.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, time for the blast, brought to you by Frank A Services. When you have a plumbing or electrical problem, you need help now. Go to frankaservices.com. Starting it all off with what we were just talking about, open mic supplemental poll number 2. With Serena Williams publicly showing support for Naomi Osaka after her departure from the French Open, do you think policies will change for athletes attending post-game conferences? Yes or absolutely not? Adam.
I think they'll try to do some things. Will it be enough? Not maybe for Naomi Osaka, but I think that they will try to look like they're being not even proactive, but just reactive in this situation. They've already put out a statement how mental health is of the utmost concern for them, and that they're willing to do all kinds of. We'll see how much they're willing to do, how much they're willing to change. If the idea of threatening, look. the fine is one thing, and Osaka says, I'm willing to pay the fine. But the minute everybody started threatening to ban her from the tournaments and disqualify her, that became too much for her, and so she stepped away. So hopefully they at least get away from the heavy-handed. Listen, if the fine is the fine and they're willing to pay it, then so be it. Let's get away from the threatening to disqualify you from the tournament. Let the girl compete. Let the athletes compete. And then if they're willing to pay the fines to not speak, then, unlike Marshawn Lynch, apparently they're willing to be fined, so they won't show up.
Well, first of all, Adam, your idea about a pool reporter is, emailing questions, that's not a bad idea for Naomi Osaka. But, no, I don't think they're going to change the policies, and I hope they don't because, are there special circumstances like Osaka? Yeah, with the anxiety issues and the mental health issues, yes. I mean, obviously, she has gained a lot of support nationally from other athletes. But when you look at, if you want to look at another side, Kyrie Irving has done the same thing. People haven't been nearly as sympathetic to Kyrie Irving when it comes to him skipping press conferences and him talking, saying that he doesn't want to talk to the media. So I think it depends on the circumstances. But in general, I don't think the policies are going to change for the reasons I just mentioned, because it's not the media so much that wants to ask the questions, which we do. That's part of our business. But the leagues themselves and the sports themselves want the publicity, and because that's good for business.
Right, there's a close one so far. 55% says yes, okay? They think that it will be changed sometime in the future. All right, open mic thought-provoking daily poll. With Anthony Davis out and the Lakers down 3-2 to the Suns, do you think LA can come back and win the series? Yes or no, Mike?
If Anthony Davis, if he doesn't come back from the groin injury, no. I mean, we've seen throughout this series that Anthony Davis obviously is a key component. They lose game one when Anthony Davis did not play well, and then he comes back in games 2 and 3 and plays lights out, and they win those games, and now he's hurt. He was hurt. He's been hurt for 2 games now. They've lost both of those games. So, no, if he doesn't come back, they're not going to win this series. LeBron James alone cannot match up with any team in the Western Conference, really. In the old days, LeBron used to be able to do that, but let's face it, LeBron is not the LeBron of old, so no, they will not win it.
No, I'm with you that 36-year-old LeBron can't carry a team by himself, especially against more talented teams.
Defend your king.
But I would let me say this, because remember, people lose track of this. It's Phoenix that's the 2 seed.
Yeah.
Not LA. Phoenix was the better team throughout the entire year. If LeBron James single-handedly wins the next 2 games, saying Anthony Davis doesn't play, this series victory will be more impressive to me than any NBA Finals he's ever won. To me, his greatest series ever was the 7-game series they lost to Golden State, or it was a 6-game series where he averaged like 40 points a game. I mean, he's basically carrying Matthew Dellavedova around the court with him.
Matthew Dellavedova, yeah.
Yeah, that was the most impressive playoff series, and he lost that one. If he were to win the next 2 games without Anthony Davis at his age, with what he's got surrounding him on this team, which apparently ain't very good, it would be the most impressive series victory I think he may have ever had. But, we'll see. He's got 2 games to do it, and right now I wouldn't bet on it.
It might help if Dennis Schroeder could make a shot, by the way.
Dude, he was like Pascal Siakam. Like, he was like a guy who played well for a good team, and you're like, oh, that guy's future is bright. And then all of a sudden you go, well, what happened to those guys? Where is their growth?
Mike, you had as many points as he did, and you were at Central Park yesterday.
That's right.
Ridiculous.
Eating hot dogs.
With 76% of the vote, no, they will not make it past this round. Open mic supplemental poll number 1. Damian Lillard scored 55 points with 10 assists in a double overtime loss to the Nuggets last night. Is it time for Dame to find a new team? Yes, get him out. Or no, stay in Portland. Adam, what you think?
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah. Hey, first of all, you may want to go. I don't know if there's anywhere safe to go, because everybody in the West seems to be pretty good. And in the top teams in the East, you're going to have to I mean, do the Nets have room? Can you join the Nets?
Do they have the cap room?
Actually, you know who you should join? You should join the Lakers. And LeBron could kick it out to him, and he'll knock down shots. Schroeder, Go sit on the bench. We got Dame Lillard now. He'll knock down some shots.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's it. That's his only option.
Absolutely not. No. He signed a contract extension in Portland. He's whether he ever wins a championship or not in Portland, the guy's going to have a statue in Portland. He's going to be revered in that city forever and ever. And let's face it, there are some great players who you're just on good teams. You're not on great teams. You don't win championships. Karl Malone comes to mind. Charles Barkley comes to mind. Russell Westbrook comes to mind. You just don't win championships. That's okay. You're still a great player. You're still revered in your city. You don't have to go gravy train a championship like Kevin Durant did. Who's more beloved, Damian Lillard or Kevin Durant? That should be the answer to your question.
Very fair, very fair. With 61% of the vote, yes, get him out. We want him out. We want him to do well, but Mike brings up a very good point. Open mic supplemental poll number 3. Gators coach Dan Mullen has received a 3-year contract extension that raises his salary to $7.6 million a year. He is now the 3rd highest paid coach in the SEC. Does he deserve it? Yes, sir? Or no, not at all? Mike.
Well, I don't think any coach deserves that, all right? He doesn't deserve it when you look at, he's now more higher paid than Jimbo Fisher, who's won national championships and conference championships. He's more higher paid than Kirby Smart, who's been to national championship games and won conference championships. So in that respect, no, he doesn't deserve it. But in the respect of what he's done for the Gators, yeah, you could say he deserved it. He turned that program around. He took over an awful program from Jim McElwain. He immediately fixed the offense. He installed, again, he brought some excitement back to the program. Jimbo Fisher and Kirby Smart, though, should thank Dan Mullen for getting his raise, because that means they're going to get a raise fairly quickly. So I'm going to go, yes, he deserves it.
I said that earlier in the show. I said, you know who's standing around their athletic department, AD's office this morning? Those two guys going, hey, did you see the news on what Dan Mullen's making? Look at my resume compared to his. How's he getting paid more than me? Does he deserve it? For all the reasons Mike mentioned, 3 New Year's 6 bowl games. Recruiting's been good. Listen, won the SEC East last year and competed. Had a Heisman Trophy candidate last year. Had a top 5 draft pick in Kyle Pitts. He's done all the right things, and he struck while the iron is hot.
Right.
And so for that reason, he deserves it. Now, there may be other guys around around college football and in the SEC go, well, if he deserves that, here's what I deserve.
Right.
And they may, in fact, get it. The good news is they're all pouring from the same SEC money faucet, Mike.
Now, this is another close one. 52% says yes. 48% are very close saying no. Going to open mic supplemental poll number 4. Will Daryl DK be in an Orlando City jersey at the end of the season? Yes or no, Adam?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because, one, I think Orlando City's good without him. I mean, they've proven that. They're a top 5 team in the league right now, and they're not even 100% healthy. And 2, I mean, if they can get somewhere close to the $20 million they want, I mean, they've allegedly turned down 10. They want 20. That means they'll probably take 15 to 17. I mean, that's a pretty good haul for an MLS player going the other direction. Okay, so I'm going to say no. I'm going to say
yes, just on a hope and a hope alone. I hope he's with Orlando City. Yeah, Adam's right. They're good without him, but guess what? They'd be great with him because he is a scoring machine. He showed that over in Europe, and I've said this a zillion times, I don't give a damn how much money Orlando City gets if somebody buys his contract. I don't care if Flavio or the new ownership makes $20 million. Those guys already have tons of money. I want to see Daryl DK on the pitch for Orlando City. I don't give a damn about how much money he's going to make elsewhere.
Okay, well, 62% of the votes say no, he would not be on Orlando City by the end of the season. Open mic, would you rather poll? Would you rather never be able to touch anyone ever again or to talk to anyone ever again, Mike. Be careful with what you say, Mike.
Now, when you say touch anyone ever again, does that mean like
everything,
any part of your body?
Everything. You cannot touch another human being, Mike. No handshakes. No extracurriculars.
Never talk?
Talk, correct.
Well, never talking could actually be a plus. Oh, wait. Does that mean I can't talk on the radio?
You know what? You could talk on the radio. How about that? Just no interviews. And you can't talk to us. It'll just be you on the radio. You just can't communicate with another person. How about that?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm going to go... I would never be able... I guess I would never be... I would go touch. I would go touch.
We got a bulldog stumper on this one.
You would rather not touch, or you'd rather be able to touch?
I'd rather be able to talk and not touch.
Oh, I'd rather be able to touch, for sure. Because then I could just write out what it is I wanted to say to somebody.
Yeah, with 62% of the vote, touch anyone ever again wins that one, guys. You already know. That was the blast right here on 96.9 The Game, always brought to you by Frank A. Services. A live operator is waiting for you, and a licensed plumber is ready to help today with a solution to your problems fast. That's the Frank Gay way. Frank A. way. FrankAway.com. FrankAServices.com. Adam, what we got coming up, man?
We're going to talk a little bit more about Dan Mullen's raise and how that stacks up against SEC coaches, and how I think he would be worth the money if it weren't for one guy. I'm trying to look up real fast before, Mike, we let you go. And you may know this, but do the Knicks play tonight?
Yes.
Is it in Atlanta or New York?
I think they're going back to New York.
Mike.
Oh, Mike.
You going to be at MSG tonight? I mean, is that where it's at? I mean,
I've got a tease. I got a tease for my appearance tomorrow on my vacation. I will not be at the Garden tonight, but I will be. We're having a graduation dinner for my daughter. I'm going to meet the my wife's new husband who hates me. I'm going to meet him tonight.
Ooh, that's all the drama we need, folks.
No, no. Are you kidding? He's going to win him over, no question. Wait. So tonight's Wednesday at the Garden. Okay, you won't be there. You won't be there.
See you, fellas.
All right,
All right,
Mike
brother.
Bianchi. Can't wait to hear about that. I live that. What are you talking about?
Mike, we can get you some tickets for $213. You can skip out on that right now.
Tickets as low as $213. The Bianchi, the Bulldog doesn't sit in the nosebleeds.
And he doesn't buy $1,200 sneakers apparently either.
That's right. Could you imagine buying a pair of $1,200 sneakers and wearing them to your $215 game?
If Mike came back to Florida and he was wearing like $1,200 pair of like Gucci
way.
sneakers, I would have left the show.
No, we all would have left the show. All right, hey, coming up next, we'll talk a little bit about what Dan Mullen's getting paid, measure it up against some SEC coaches, and I'll tell you why I think that if it weren't for one guy, he'd probably be worth every single penny and more. Coming up next, you're listening to Open Mic right here on The Game.
Open Mic, the best radio show in town. Isn't that right, Urban Meyer?
I don't know who creates a story like that.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine 96.
open mic. Mike Bianchi, kind enough to join us from New York City.
Still can't believe he's not going to that game, man.
Well, he's got a graduation function with his daughter.
Oh.
Or dinner or something.
Take it with you. Imagine. Congratulations on graduating from FIT. You're coming with me to a Knicks game.
Well, I am this weekend. I told you that I will be down in Miami. Oh, by the way, I won't be here on Monday at work because for some reason, devastated. I put in way too much work in this 4-day work week. I gotta get another 4-day work week on the back end. For some reason, the Floyd Mayweather Logan Paul fight, which I'll be going to, and my oldest daughter will be going with me. She actually went with me to a Miguel Cotto fight one time, and she loved it. And so she's been asking to go back. And I sort of joked with her that, maybe we could go to this. And then my fiance heard me joking about it, so she got us tickets for my birthday, which is this weekend. So I'll be going to that. And then I forgot what we were even talking about to even lead up to that. But talking about going places with your kids and stuff. So yeah, I mean, taking your daughter to a basketball game at MSG would be really cool. You didn't have to be a Knicks fan.
No, not at all. It's one of those things. It's a legendary arena, you know, and you're in New York City. There's not many times. Well, she lives in New York, so I'm sure she's been around. She's probably seen it, but it's a different situation when you're with your parents going. Like, for instance, when you went to that Cotto fight, it was incredible, wasn't it? Just the experience itself. Like, she doesn't even, even if she didn't care about boxing, just y'all being out there in the environment.
She didn't know anything about boxing. She actually had just recently said, Dad, I want to go to another boxing match again. You know what I mean? Because I think she liked the atmosphere. One, and we were the guests of T&D Concrete, who they have like a luxury suite. So we watched it from a box. So I think she sort of thinks that all boxing matches we'll be watching from some luxury suite.
Ain't gonna happen.
Ain't gonna happen. So we'll watch. Oh, and I was saying, by the way, I don't understand why they're having the fight, the Mayweather Logan, on a Sunday.
Yeah, that surprised me when you mentioned it the first time that you were going and you had to figure out certain accommodations to get over here. I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, it's on a Sunday.
It's a Sunday. I mean,
they're not. They're not gonna get on in the ring until 1:30 a.m. It's over.
Really, but there's not many fights on the card. Matter of fact, one of the fights got canceled on the undercard. So, but yeah, there's a reason why I had to make accommodations because I was not going to be driving back at 4 a.m. from Miami. You'll have to do me a favor during the bridge. Will you ask Mark Daniels so I can listen on my way home? Why they're having that fight on Sunday? I don't know. Maybe he knows. I have no idea. As a guy who's watched a lot of boxing in his lifetime, I honestly had my mind wrapped around, hey, that's going to be a Saturday night. And then you look up and you go, wait a minute, the 6th is a Sunday? This makes no sense to me.
Disrespect.
Real quick, want to mention Dan Mullen, his raise there at the University of Florida. Got an extension, a 3-year extension through 2026, a raise of $1.5 million per. Extra cash for him makes him the 3rd highest paid coach in the SEC. Is he worth it? In ways, yes. Listen, he won the SEC East. Had a Heisman Trophy contender last year. Helped develop a top 5 draft pick in Kyle Pitts. Let me see here. They've been to 3 straight New Year's 6 bowl games. That's good.
I understand all that. $7 million though, almost $8 million a year. Do you understand? My head almost exploded when I was younger, and I first realized how much these college coaches get paid.
Well, there's only 2 coaches in the SEC make more than him, and that is Nick Saban, who clearly should be the highest paid coach in all of college football, and then Ed Orgeron, who's coming off a national championship just 2 years ago. My question is, how quickly did Kirby Smart get on the phone with his athletic director after this number was announced? Because he goes, wait a minute, not only have I won the East, I've actually won the SEC. And I was within second and 100 of winning the national championship over Alabama, as a matter of fact. So he's waiting in line. I'm sure that Jimbo Fisher, who's now at Texas A&M, plenty of oil money out there, is probably like, hey, I got
money.
Yeah, in Texas, oh god, yeah, they can spend some cash there.
Oh yeah,
and they got oil money and they've got SEC money, so they got the best of both worlds out there. I'm sure he's like, wait a minute, I got a national championship on my resume. I'm ready for an extension too. Let's see if he can make some headway inside the West. The problem is, what I really wanted to get to is a lot of these coaches be worth this money and probably were worth a lot more if Nick Saban wasn't around.
Right.
Because you could spread out some of these SEC titles, maybe spread out some national championships. Right now, he's hogging them all. And I'm thinking, Kirby, if it weren't for Nick Saban, Kirby Smart probably have a national championship. Maybe Dan Mullen has an SEC title last year. Maybe something greater than that. Who knows? Maybe Ed Orgeron's got a couple. Maybe Gus Malzahn's still at Auburn. If it's not for.
But see, that's why now, like these coaches, like you said, it's just like you know what? Just give me some money, man. For what it's worth, for what's available, I've done enough. You know what I mean? I've done enough.
By the way, for Florida fans that are super excited about keeping Dan Mullen for the foreseeable future at a higher pay rate, here's the other news. Mike White also signed an extension.
Boom.
But, I mean, listen, I guess the tournament, fans, it's tough to follow a legend. All right, here's what we've learned at the University of Florida. If you're following a legend, that is a tough act to follow. Whether you're Ron Zook or Mike White, it is tough to fill those shoes. And, fans just are unaccepting of the level that Mike White has gotten that program to. And because it doesn't measure up to what it is that Billy Donovan had. Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul exhibition could be set for Sunday to avoid a pay-per-view clash with Triller. Wow, are you kidding me with Triller?
Wait, what Triller event's going on Saturday?
That's is that the Teofimo Lopez fight?
Wait. No. That's later on, I think.
I mean, it has to be that. Oh, otherwise, why is Floyd Mayweather getting out of the way? In what universe is Floyd Mayweather stepping aside for some other promotion? I'm almost positive it has to be the Teofimo Lopez fight.
I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. I mean, now they've got a whole rap concert going on as
with
well.
Snoop. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Snoop and I want to say, is Meek Mill going to be?
No, yeah, sir. See, it says June 19th. It's not it.
Oh, it's not it?
Yeah.
But maybe that when they originally scheduled it, it was something along those lines, and once they got it lined up, or maybe they backed out, maybe they moved their date to accommodate something else. All I know is my brain was so wrapped around a Saturday for that fight, and then you realize, hey, it's Sunday night. Sunday night boxing. All right, hey, coming up next, Mark Daniels in